tee coach, what are some of the biggest problems you see from off the tee? I would like my students, and I try to get my students to have a variation of shots.
Yep.
It's like they've got a driver, and then they've got maybe a driving iron or a 3-wood or so they've got a variation of club ideas, which is all good.
Yep.
But I like them to have a variation of shots. What do you think?
I think it depends what level they're at.
Yeah, I agree.
Like if it was a higher handicap, I'd rather them just have like the one shot and be consistent with it so they know what's going to happen and keep it in play.
So what about this then? I agree with that to a certain extent. I've got a student who comes with a big cut and you want to work with them on calming that down.
Yeah.
I say always at the end of a lesson that we've got to X. Let's pretend we get them to a draw from a big cut. You still look more comfortable hitting your big cut, but you've now got some swing thoughts to maybe have a go at hitting a draw. I would say this hole is not a great situation to put that into practice. Play with your big cut.
Yeah.
The next hole, which is wider open and then the trouble's in an area that they're not going to hit when they try to hit their draw, maybe try and use it. So actually, and I'm not saying it's better, you need to get out on the course and see if it makes you score lower having that other option in the bag.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So I would do that even still with any standard to a certain extent, but I agree with you that I would absolutely try and work with their shot as much as possible.
Yeah.
What about things like winds? I see so many amateurs tee up on days, which today's quite windy, not reading where the winds come from, hit a shot and then go, oh look at that one, you know, that surprise after the event. That little bit more prep.
Like my routine when I was playing a lot more, it was just like fixed, like you get to your shot, you measure it, you look at the wind, uphill, downhill, pick your club, go into your routine, hit it. So
why do you think some amateurs are scared to do that?
Because they're not confident that they're going to strike it properly.
Yeah, so they don't. And then what do you think? I always think slow plays in their mind.
Slow play, yeah, keep holding people up.
So they're scared to take that time to prep.
Yeah.
But you can do that prep. I would be doing that prep. So look where our bags are. Look.
Yeah, yeah.
That's you know, a 40-yard, 30-yard walk. I'm doing it in that time. I've got to make that walk.
Like when you're walking up to your second shot as well, you're like looking all the time.
Totally.
It's just like you're always in that state of mind when. Not saying that like higher handicaps don't do it, but you certainly see it in better players. They're just all constantly, golf's on their mind and they're round and how they're getting that ball round.
Absolutely. And then there's another simple thing I do with people. If they want to work with shape a little bit more, really simple tip to go and practice, I get them to work a bit with tee height.
Yep.
So I get my ball teed down a bit lower if I want to hit a cut, and I'm teeing up higher for a draw. I'm not saying that's going to make you hit a cut and a draw, because it won't.
Yep.
But you can work that in as well. On this hole where I feel like I'm going to hit it straight, I might tee it a bit lower, aim up the left, and feel like I'm cutting it in a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's working again that kind of data into your game a bit more, isn't it?
Indeed.
Good stuff, Matt. Approaching the green then, Matt. We're actually on a par 3 here, but this could be an approach shot into a green. I tend to see people not really understanding how far their clubs go at all.
Yeah.
And more often than not, it's an underclub than an overclub for me. Do you find that?
Definitely, and usually like most of the trouble's at the front as well, isn't it? So,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I'm a big fan in getting, certainly handicap golfers taking more club and trying to take off, where I see them going full bout on like they're just picking the number and nailing it. Would you agree?
Yeah, yeah. And I think like a gap test will certainly show a lot of things up for most golfers. And start working out if there's sort of point in your longer irons. You see that quite a lot when I'm doing gap testing. 4, 5, 6 irons sometimes all land the same distance, and then they get on a par 3 with bunkers in the front of the green and they hit 4, 5 and 6 iron, they all go in that bunker and they wonder why.
Yeah. So, the other thing as well I see with gap tests, which is a good point with another reason for getting a gap test, is like we were talking about with other clubs, or we're going to come to talk about with putting. There's patterns, so they might hit their 9 iron straight to slightly left, but you give them 5 iron or 4 iron or their longer iron, and it's straight to right, the miss. So not only is the gap test going to help them get the right distances, it's going to help them work out where they should be aiming for their miss for the different clubs. Because I also see, I see them, they think they draw their clubs and they're hitting a 5 iron starting it down the right. I'm thinking, well, you're not actually drawing this one the last 2 times. Why would you not aim this one a bit straighter? And it's working that in there. Again, it's that databasing, isn't it? Good stuff. A little bit more club, try and knock downs. I like that. Definitely a gap test is the way forwards. So chipping, Matt, one of your strengths definitely. What are some of the mistakes you see with golfers when they get close to the green, like we are just here?
Like, I don't think it's like there's mistakes, but I just don't think people open their minds and like manufacture shots and change loft and use different amounts of run. You tend to see them using a favourite club quite a lot.
Yeah.
And they'll just do whatever that club needs to do, so land it short of the green, and then you get a dodgy bounce, and then they're like, oh god, why hasn't that worked out well? Try landing it on the green a bit more. Yeah,
because if you land it on the green, you're going to get that consistent roll out, more like a putt. So you are very much, when we play, even if you do choose, you do have a favourite club because you have a 52, but then you're changing the loft dynamically
to still be able to land it on the green and get that consistency, whereas lots of amateurs don't tend to mix it up a lot. They do the same technique, same club, same trajectory, same amount of roll type stuff.
Yeah, so mixing it up with where they're landing would be a great point. Alright, Matt, so you've got one club, your 52, which is your preferred club, but like we say, you can change the loft statically. You're going to try and change it dynamically, I guess.
Yeah, I'm twisting it around the axis of the shaft, so just taking loft off, and then set yourself up depending on where your club leading edge is pointing.
Okay.
So I'm going to pitch this one a bit further for the first one.
So you're adding loft for this one.
So it's going to go a bit higher, land softer, and not run as far.
Yeah. That's landed more than halfway towards the flag.
Yeah.
Next shot.
And then second one, land it a bit closer to me, take the loft off, so twist it the other way.
Leaning the handle a bit more forward?
Leaning the handle forward, a bit more further back in my stance as well. Similar sort of feelings though, with my technique. Still want that club to pass my handle eventually. Land it closer.
Yeah, look at that running up.
A lot more run.
So you're going to kind of drill for people, bring one club on, few balls, and really vary the landing spots.
Mix it up as well, yeah. It's not always the case. Sometimes just using an 8-iron to make it run is a simpler way, but experiment.
Absolutely.
See what works for you.
Yes, good stuff. Thanks, Matt. So we're around the green now, Matthew.
Here we are.
Biggest mistakes on the green, long putting. I see distance control, real weakness amongst amateurs, don't you?
100%. Whenever I've done lessons on the putting green, that's been like #1 that we look at every time. Yeah,
I would say 10-footers, 6-footers, I don't see a pattern with amateurs to pros. Obviously, I would say pros hole a bit more, but you see some amateurs of any handicap holing, but the long putts I see as a problem. So why do you think that is?
Practice is one thing.
I think that's the main thing.
Feel is one you can't really teach either, so I think feel comes through practice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to be like a technical base
unless
thing.
It's strike based, like some people are a bit wild even on the putter trying to hit it off the middle.
Agree. So maybe like a different putter shape might help, like a mallet over, like this is a bit more bladey, but it's still got some mallet shape to it. It's definitely looking at equipment might help with strike, which would then help with distance control. I think it's like you're saying, it's like a practice. I think amateurs are just scared to try and hit long putts, like on a putting green. They don't want to take up all the time, and they're eager often to get out on the course, aren't they? So spending more time on a green like this in an evening and getting some ridiculously long ones. It's databasing for me as well. Do you know what I mean by that?
Going by previous
100%. Different speed greens, different slopes, different undulations, different situations when you need to, when you don't. I think for us, people who've played, I've played since I was 13, in many situations from competition to friendly to having like a quid on it, which sometimes means something. It's how you can cope with that long putt in those situations and building up that database of saying, look, so when I'm in this situation, I often do X. And I'm going to try and stop doing X. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
So it's learning those patterns. I've always been someone with my putting, someone who enjoys putting, really databasey with my putting. So I'm keeping a mental log in my head of situation-based incidents and how to not have that reoccur. So go and practice more in that situation, right to lefts. You know, like that putt against Andy Sullivan. You know, that I wouldn't be expecting to do that so many more times than not. If I actually cared and wanted to compete, I would try and get downhill left to righters and get a friend and let's put some money, let's put an edge on it and practice that situation as close as I can. Get out there and practice a bit more. I think it's a good one for them, don't you think, Matt?
100%.
They just find it a bit boring, don't they? I love putting, I really enjoy doing it. So long putting drill that I do, Matt, often, I do on putting greens, is I just challenge myself for 2 putts from here. And I keep going. So on a putting green, 1 hole there, 1 hole here, I just go back and forward and I keep a little game logging myself. Because I'm practicing the long one and then I'm practicing often the 4-footer, the 10-footer, the 6-footer. And I'm really trying to, you know, keep count in my head, add that little bit of pressure and gameplay, to see how often I can keep 2-putting. So shorten a bit right. Remember what I said about databasing the next one? I'm going to aim left, I'm trying to hit harder. It's reacting to each putt. I play with amateurs. I played in pro-ams years ago, and I remember, you know, they would hit the first 3 putts 10 foot when they're 12-foot putts. Sorry, when they're like 20-foot putts, halfway. And then you say, like on the 6th green or whatever, you need to hit this one a bit harder. And then they go and whack it 20-foot, that 10, 12-foot pass, and they look at me like, you told me to hit it harder. Well, it's there lies the problem.
Yeah.
Definition of a little bit harder isn't twice as hard. I said, you see what I mean? And that's that experience that we're talking about. This is a great job. Get the course, get miles away, putting green's better, 2 holes, back and forth, back and forth. How many 2-putts in a row? I remember as a kid, I could almost kind of just keep going. I got to a stage where I could just, like I wouldn't end almost, you know what I mean? It's a great way to prove, Matthew. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Periscope, all the normal social places. Also, come and visit my new website, markcrossfieldgolf.com. See you over there.